Alright, Shalom, Shalom to the nation of Israel, Shalom. Alright, this is your brother Kazaki out of Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming at you with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shah, right? But prior to getting started, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Chakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the whole full elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? And the title of today's lesson is going to be, With This Truth Comes Correction, alright? That's the title of today's lesson is, With This Truth comes correction. All right. So coming within the body of Yahweh Shema Shai, right? Okay, you're new to the body, right? You're new to the works of what's going on. Okay, you know you're going to have to be corrected within this truth. Okay, you're going to have to have reproof, right? Have rebukes. These are the things that's necessary, right? That comes with basically the perfecting of the man's spirit, right? To be able to follow and worship Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, right? To be worthy, right? To receive that crown, okay? Right? Because you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna do something wrong, okay? You're not gonna be perfect, okay? But the point is, right? You gotta be able to what? Take correction when correction comes, okay? All right. So we don't intend for this to be long, but we're gonna get a few precepts backing it up. All right. This is Proverbs 3 and verse 11. It says, "My son, despise not the chastising of the Lord." Okay, and it says, "Neither be weary of his correction." Right, because the Lord is gonna constantly correct you. Right, right. You're coming out of the world. You're coming out of doing things the wrong way. Right, the wrong mode of thinking. Different doctrines and philosophies have bugged out your mind. Right. Okay, so you enter into the doctrines and the doctrine of Yahweh Shema Shai, starting with the elders and apostles at Great Millstone on down. Okay, and you're gonna come to find out, hey, look, all these things that you do and are wrong. Okay, so and even within following the doctrine, you're still gonna do something wrong, right? And you're gonna offend somewhere. You're gonna do something. Okay, so these things must happen, right, for correction, right? And it's going to happen. It's just that simple. Okay, but the law say don't despise it, man. It's right. You're gonna have to be corrected. Okay. This is verse 12, and it says, "From whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth." Right? So, be happy that the Lord, whatever, he chastises you, right? Badgers you, whatever. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Because it's really out of love, right? Even when you get corrections within the body, it's still out of love, okay? You know what I'm saying? Because these men, right, that have been put over you, the elders, the apostles, the bishops, the teachers, right? Whatever the men that are over you, okay, their corrections, right, or reproof or rebuke is still out of love because they want to see you do what? They want to see you do the right things, man. Okay, and they can see whether something is off, right? Because um, that's their lot, right? They've been put in a position, right? That position by Yahweh Bashim Al Shai to make sure that you do what? The right things, okay? And that's what it's all about, right? Receiving that correction, right? So that you can do better, at the end of the day. Okay, and it says, even as a father, right? Even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth. Okay, so a father is going to give his son what? Correction, right? You're not going to just let your son run rapid, right? Do whatever it is that he wants to do when he wants to do it and how he wants to do it. No, you're going to give him correction, okay, right, on what he needs to do in life, right, so that he can be successful, right? He could be a successful young man, right, and not a loose cannon, right, and not having no guidelines, no morals, okay, no integrity to anything, okay, right. And that's why we need Yahweh Bashim Shai, right, and you need the body too, right, okay, you need that for correction, man. Like I said, the Lord see you going off, he see you doing something wrong, right? You're not you're not right in the spirit, right? You're not doing what's required of you in the spirit, right? Okay, no matter what it may be, okay, the Lord is going to send his men to make sure that is that you receive the correction that you need to receive, man. Okay, so let's go to, I'm gonna get another precept. Okay, let's see, bear with me. All right, this is oh, this one chapter over. It's a lot here. This is Proverbs 15 and verse 32. It says, "He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding," right? So yeah, it says, "He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul," right? If you're refusing to be corrected, man, you're really just doing yourself a disservice. Okay? Because remember, the Lord, no matter how He comes, is correcting you out of love and in whatever measure, right? That you need to be corrected. Okay? You know. So that's something that has to be done, right, within the truth, right, within ministry. You know, Salaki, I gotta. All right. Okay. So it is what it is, right? You have to be able to accept it. That's why the Lord doesn't like what? He doesn't like a prideful man. Okay? Men that are full of pride, you can't be told anything. Okay? Why? Because you think you know everything. All right? So take your correction as what? Okay, all right. You know, I have this, these things, right, that's going on with me, right? You have to really sit down and meditate on those things, right? Pray that the Lord corrects you on those things, right? And you know what you need to do, right? Moving forward, okay? All right, and it says, "He that refuseth instruction despiseth his own soul," right? You just, like I said, you're doing yourself a disservice if you can't be told how to do things correctly, right? But he that heareth reproof, right? You're receiving it, right? When you receive something, okay, you're accepting it, all right? You're accepting it, all right? It says, "But he that heareth reproof get it understanding," right? Okay, so when you're accepting the things that are being told for correction that is going on with you, then you basically are doing the right things. Okay, you're basically um, doing what the Lord requires of you. Okay, because like I said before, the Lord requires that you get corrected, you get chastised, because you're not going to be perfect. Okay, or you're just not going to do everything perfectly. All right. Let's get another precept. Okay. This is Proverbs 26 and 11. It says, "As a dog returneth to his vomit, so is a fool returned to his folly." Right? So, basically, long story short, don't be the guy that returns to what? The iniquities that he has committed in times past, man. Right? There's going to be, a limit. There's a limit switch within this truth, man. A cutoff time, okay, in which the Lord pretty much presents men, okay, because the Lord's going to bear with you, right, for a certain amount of time, okay. He's like, he's going to send the prophets, right, to correct you, to reprove you, right, to rebuke you, to get you on track, to get you right. But, you know, if you don't accept that, right, or if you keep going back to doing the same things that are wrong, then that's when, the Lord will take other measures to do whatever it is within his, spirit for judgment. Okay. So don't be the guy, to return back to his, own vomit. You know what it is that you're doing wrong. Okay. Because nobody knows you better than you. Okay. So you take everything that is said, right, with a grain of salt, so to speak, what they say in the world. Okay. Which means going into all the minute particulars, of what's being said, right? And apply what needs to be applied for change. All right. let's go ahead and get another precept real quick. Let's get this. All right, this is Sirach 32 and verse 17. It says, a sinful man will not be reproved, okay, but findeth an excuse according to his will, okay. You know, a long story short, you know, don't be this guy, man. Don't be the guy that every time somebody tries to correct you, okay, you've got an excuse for everything. It doesn't matter what it is. You've always, it's almost like you got a rebuttal for everything that someone has to say, right? You basically the guy that just cannot be told anything, right? Okay, you know what I'm saying? That's a first class one-way ticket to being, you know, out of the body, man. You know, of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, and ultimately really out of the truth. Okay, because that goes back to what? That goes back into that pride, man, that the Lord hates. Okay. You know, I'm going to read it again. It says, a sinful man will not be reproved, right? He will not take correction, no matter what you do, you know. And a reproof is really a mild correction, right? I mean, it's coming off in a mild manner, so to speak, right? A rebuke is, you know, a more sharp, more intense correction, right? And some people, it depending on the person, right? Some people need that, man. Sometimes you need a rebuke, okay? It's just that simple. Sometimes you need a reproof, right? Sometimes an easy way of putting things, and sometimes there ain't an easy way to put it. This is what it is, okay? It's I'm gonna read the second part of that verse. But finding an excuse according to his will, man. No one likes a person that just, even within the world, man, no one likes a person that just makes excuses for everything. You know what I'm saying? They refuse to look at themselves, right? Which the scriptures talk about it, right? Examining yourself within a mirror, right? They refuse to look at themselves, to hold themselves accountable for their actions, man. That's the part of them constantly making excuses. You gotta hold yourself accountable, you know. But okay, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get another precept real quick. Let me probably close out. Let's see. All right, this is Hebrews 13 and verse 17. It says, obey them that have rule over you and submit yourselves. Okay? And it says, for they watch over your souls as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief, for that is unprofitable for you. And I'm going to read the same verse in the GNT really quickly. It says, obey your leaders and follow their orders, right? They watch over your souls without resting, since they must give to God an account of their service. It says, if you obey them, they will do their work gladly. If not, they will do it with sadness. Okay? And it says, and that would be Salakia. And it says, and that would be of no help to you. Right? So, you know, imagine, you know, you have a guy, right? Well, I'm gonna start from the top of the verse, okay? All right, it says that basically, like it says, submit yourself, okay? It says to do what? It says to obey them, right? Because these men have been put in order, right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, to make sure that the men that are underneath them come also in order, right? You know, some of the same mistakes you made, they've already made, okay? You know, through the spirit, right? So they have experiences with things that they can correct you on, right? They basically been tried in so many different areas, right? Through experience, all right? So they can tell you what the correct way is. That's how the Lord have it set up, okay? And I'm gonna get this precept really quickly. See if I could find it. I think it's Ephesians 4. Let's see. All right, this is I believe this is Ephesians 4 and verse 11. And he gave some apostles and some prophets, right? We had different brethren within the body, and some evangelists and some pastors and some teachers, right? Okay, and this goes into what? Okay, you have men that are over you. You know what I'm saying? You have elder that's over you, right? You got a teacher, right, that is over you. Okay, but what is the purpose for? Why did the Lord have it set up? This is the reason why. Okay, verse 12, it says, for the perfecting, okay, of the saints, for the work of the ministry. Okay, so the Lord has order and structure within the body. Okay, so that younger brothers, right, get seasoned, right, and if they go off, they can receive the proper correction. Okay, it says for the edifying of the body of Hamashiach. Okay, and I'll go one more. Okay, this is verse 13. It says, till we all come in a unity of the faith, right, and of the knowledge, and of the Son of the power, right, unto a perfect man, right? So you're going to make mistakes. You're going to go off. You're going to do wrong things, but don't despise the correction, because you need the correction in order to be made a complete man, okay? Now, ultimately, you're going to be made complete, right, whole, when Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, returns, okay? Well, you won't go off and you won't commit any more sin. All right. If you be a part of that number. Okay. And it says, unto the measure of the stature of the fullness of Hamashiach. Okay. Right. Because, basically, long story short, okay, the Lord has set the bar, man. Okay. And we all striving to, to be able to, kind of lift that bar, so to speak, but the Lord has basically, set the bar for us, and we're all basically striving to even, contact or reach that bar, so to speak. Okay. All right, let's go back to that Hebrews 13 and 17. So, like the scriptures say, obey the man that has rule over you, right? You know what I'm saying? It says, to submit yourself, man. Okay. Right. You have to follow someone. Okay. That's a part of what the Lord has planned within his body. It's order, man. The Lord is all about order, right? In so many words. Okay. And it says, for they watch over your souls, right? These men are here to give you what you need, right? All the proper correction. Okay. Right. They're looking at you. They're analyzing you in the spirit and making sure, that you aren't what? You aren't falling. You aren't falling. You aren't going off, man. Okay. And it says, as they that must give an account, right? And it says that they may do it with joy, right? So that, they're also going to have to give an account for their service too as well, right? You know what I'm saying? The things they did, the things that they told brothers, right? So they have to be on point with their service too as well, right? And it says that they may do it with joy and not with grief, right? You know what I'm saying? You you don't want to be that brother that's what? That's unruly, man. You can't be told nothing, right? You don't want to do anything the right way, so to speak, or you may start doing something the right way, but then you just find a way to do it wrong, right? That's aggravating. Okay, it's annoying to deal with. Yeah, it comes with the work. It comes with the body. Okay, or the work of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai, right? But that's going into what? The grief aspect. Okay, and it says, for that it is unprofitable for you. It's not going to do you any good. Okay, you just, you can, and it's truth. You can make things harder on yourself, right? You can be your own worst enemy at the end of the day. Okay, so don't be that. All right, but that's pretty much, all I have. The title of today's lesson was, hey, look, with this truth comes correction, man. Take your correction, take your reproof, take your rebuke, okay? And like I said, right? Take it as in, Yahweh Shai speaking, right? Because that's who's speaking, okay? Right? And analyze it, right? Right? Meditate on it, right? Pray on it, and make sure you begin to start doing what? The correct things through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, because you know that is what's needed to be done. All right, but like I said, that's pretty much all I got. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, first and foremost to the hopeful elect. But prior to getting out of here, we want to give all infinite honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, blessings, and salutations be to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, Kwam Yasha Allah, Ababa Ball, and Shalom.